Cheating doesn't begin with tangled sheets or secret hotel rooms. It begins long before that, in places you'd never even think to look. A woman can sit across from you, smiling, laughing, even holding your hand, while her mind and emotions are already invested somewhere else. That's the silent betrayal most men never catch until it's too late. And the cruelest part is that the drift doesn't happen overnight. It happens in tiny, invisible moments that build into something dangerous. Infidelity almost never starts with a physical move. It starts with attention, with validation, with subtle sparks that she tells herself don't mean anything. But those sparks grow. Research shows that more than a third of women admit to experiencing what's called an emotional affair. And here's the harsh truth. Emotional betrayal cuts deeper than physical intimacy, because it isn't just about the body, it's about the heart. By the time a line is physically crossed, the loyalty has already been broken. I've seen too many men blindsided, left wondering how they missed the warning signs that were right in front of them. They thought everything was normal, but normal is exactly where betrayal hides. That's why I'm going to expose the 7 places where infidelity usually begins, the places no one suspects. Pay attention, because once you see these patterns, you can never unsee them. And trust me, when you hear the last one, it will change the way you look at trust forever. Place 1. The workplace. The workplace is one of the most underestimated breeding grounds for infidelity, and it happens quietly, almost invisibly, right under the surface of what looks like professionalism. A woman spends more waking hours with her colleagues than she often does with her own partner. The environment is charged with routine interactions that appear harmless, but gradually erode boundaries. It starts with small exchanges, laughing at a shared joke, venting frustrations about the boss, or casually complimenting each other's outfit or hairstyle. These moments seem innocent, but they form a subtle bridge of emotional intimacy. Unlike fleeting encounters with strangers, workplace relationships are built on repetition. Seeing the same person daily creates a sense of familiarity, comfort, and connection. That's where the danger lies. What begins as a friendly rapport can slowly shift into something more personal, where the colleague becomes a source of validation, attention, and emotional support. The lines between professional and personal life blur without anyone even realizing it. The danger escalates when stress enters the picture. Stress at work or dissatisfaction in her personal life makes her more vulnerable to leaning on someone who understands. Sharing frustrations in private conversations or late-night project discussions builds emotional dependence. She may feel like this person gets her in ways her partner doesn't. It's not about a grand romantic gesture. It's about the accumulation of small, consistent interactions that go unchecked. Another hidden layer of workplace temptation is recognition. Compliments and acknowledgement of her efforts from a male colleague often carry a weight her partner may not even realize he's neglecting. A simple, "You did a great job," or "I couldn't have done this without you," can become a powerful drug of validation, one that she starts craving. These acknowledgments don't raise suspicion because they seem professional. Yet they spark a dopamine hit that ties her emotionally closer to him. Office culture also normalizes social closeness. Lunch breaks, team dinners, after-hours meetings, or even business trips provide convenient opportunities for boundaries to slip. A glass of wine at a corporate dinner, a shared ride home, or working late in an empty office creates scenarios that don't look dangerous at first, but silently shift dynamics into risky territory. The workplace doesn't announce itself as a danger zone for infidelity, but it provides the perfect cover: routine, familiarity, and plausible deniability. Place 2. The gym. The gym is often seen as a place of discipline, self-improvement, and personal growth. But beneath that surface, it carries one of the most underestimated risks for infidelity. A woman enters the gym with the intention of bettering herself physically, yet the environment is designed around attention, validation, and constant interaction with others who are focused on appearance and attraction. Unlike the workplace, where interactions build through shared tasks, the gym thrives on body language, compliments, and unspoken chemistry. It's a space where effort is visible, transformation is celebrated, and validation is freely exchanged without suspicion. It begins subtly. A personal trainer or even a fellow gym-goer notices her consistency, compliments her progress, or gives her tips on form. These exchanges feel harmless, even motivational, but in reality, They create a steady stream of positive reinforcement that she begins to anticipate. Every glance in the mirror, every acknowledgement of improvement, and every piece of advice builds a psychological connection that can easily slip into something more. What seems like encouragement is often the first spark of emotional recognition. Unlike other environments, the gym thrives on physical energy. Sweat, endorphins, and adrenaline create a heightened emotional state. In this heightened state, a compliment feels more intense, a smile seems more personal, and casual conversation takes on deeper meaning. The chemistry is fueled not only by words but by the shared pursuit of self-improvement. This environment allows attraction to brew naturally, disguised as motivation or camaraderie. The danger intensifies when consistency develops. Seeing the same person at the same time day after day builds a sense of familiarity. A trainer correcting her posture with physical contact or a workout partner spotting her during a heavy lift breaks down physical boundaries under the guise of necessity. This physical closeness, paired with the shared energy of pushing limits, creates opportunities for emotional and even physical temptation that no one questions because it looks normal inside the gym environment. Another factor is the secrecy of the gym. Unlike social media or workplace interactions that might leave digital or professional trails, the gym is seen as her private time. Partners rarely question what happens there, making it one of the easiest places for infidelity to take root under the radar. The appearance of discipline masks the reality that the gym provides fertile ground for unnoticed connections that slowly cross the line. Place 3. Social media. Social media has quietly become one of the most common starting points for infidelity, not because it openly encourages betrayal, but because it disguises it under the illusion of harmless interaction. A like here, a comment there, and suddenly a digital connection begins to feel more personal than it should. Unlike face-to-face encounters, social media allows communication to slip under the radar with no immediate consequences. The accessibility and constant availability make it a breeding ground for hidden emotional investments that easily escalate into something more. It often begins with the simplest of gestures. A man likes her photo, she notices, and maybe she checks his profile in return. If he leaves a flattering comment or sends a lighthearted message, it feels harmless enough to reply. These interactions are quick, casual, and easy to dismiss, but they provide a steady stream of attention that starts to matter more than she admits. What seems like playful banter can gradually turn into an ongoing conversation, one that takes place late at night or in moments of boredom when her partner isn't around. The danger of social media lies in its privacy. Direct messages are tucked away from public view, giving her the freedom to entertain conversations that no one else will see. The intimacy of private chats makes the interaction feel exclusive, almost like a secret world shared only between the two. This secrecy builds excitement and intensifies emotional connection. The chemistry is fueled not only by words, but by the shared pursuit of self-improvement. This environment allows attraction to brew naturally, disguised as motivation or camaraderie. The danger intensifies when consistency develops. Seeing the same person at the same time day after day builds a sense of familiarity. A trainer correcting her posture with physical contact or a workout partner spotting her during a heavy lift breaks down physical boundaries under the guise of necessity. This physical closeness, paired with the shared energy of pushing limits, creates opportunities for emotional and even physical temptation that no one questions because it looks normal inside the gym environment. Another factor is the secrecy of the gym. Unlike social media or workplace interactions that might leave digital or professional trails, the gym is seen as her private time. Partners rarely question what happens there, making it one of the easiest places for infidelity to take root under the radar. The appearance of discipline masks the reality that the gym provides fertile ground for unnoticed connections that slowly cross the line. Place 3. Social media. Social media has quietly become one of the most common starting points for infidelity, not because it openly encourages betrayal, but because it disguises it under the illusion of harmless interaction. A like here, a comment there, and suddenly a digital connection begins to feel more personal than it should. Unlike face-to-face encounters, social media allows communication to slip under the radar with no immediate consequences. The accessibility and constant availability make it a breeding ground for hidden emotional investments that easily escalate into something more. It often begins with the simplest of gestures. A man likes her photo, she notices, and maybe she checks his profile in return. If he leaves a flattering comment or sends a lighthearted message, it feels harmless enough to reply. These interactions are quick, casual, and easy to dismiss, but they provide a steady stream of attention that starts to matter more than she admits. What seems like playful banter can gradually turn into an ongoing conversation, one that takes place late at night or in moments of boredom when her partner isn't around. The danger of social media lies in its privacy. Direct messages are tucked away from public view, giving her the freedom to entertain conversations that no one else will see. The intimacy of private chats makes the interaction feel exclusive, almost like a secret world shared only between the two. This secrecy builds excitement and intensifies emotional connection. What might have started as a friendly check-in can evolve into daily conversations where she vents frustrations, seeks validation, or enjoys attention that feels refreshing compared to the monotony of her relationship. Another powerful factor is nostalgia. Social media reconnects her with old classmates, past crushes, or even former partners. The act of catching up seems innocent, but revisiting memories opens emotional doors that should stay closed. A simple "remember when" can quickly spiral into reliving moments, reigniting attraction, and exploring what could have been. Because it all happens behind a screen, it doesn't feel like cheating at first, but the emotional groundwork for infidelity is already being laid. The platform itself encourages constant engagement. Every notification, every message bubble, every heart reaction creates microbursts of dopamine that she associates with the person giving her attention. Over time, this digital bond can feel more stimulating than her real-life relationship, and because it's masked as harmless scrolling, no one suspects where it's truly leading. Place 4. Old friendship. Old friendships carry a unique kind of danger when it comes to infidelity, because they are wrapped in the blanket of familiarity and trust. Unlike strangers or new acquaintances, an old friend already has access to her history, her personality, and the little details that take years to uncover. This creates a foundation of comfort that doesn't need to be built from scratch. When a woman reconnects with someone from her past or maintains a long-standing friendship, the boundary between platonic and romantic can shift without warning, because the emotional groundwork has been there all along. It often starts innocently, with a message to catch up, or a chance encounter that leads to conversations about life, relationships, and memories they once shared. The nostalgia of old times can be intoxicating, talking about who they were, the moments they lived, and the experiences they went through together sparks emotions that her current relationship may not always provide. What seems like harmless reminiscing becomes a powerful trigger, pulling her mind back to a time when she felt youthful, desired, and free. That emotional pull is strong, and it makes the old friend feel like more than just a friend. The risk deepens when she begins to confide in him. Because he already knows her background, it feels natural to share her current struggles or frustrations with him. If she feels misunderstood or unappreciated in her relationship, the old friend becomes an easy outlet. The comfort of familiarity combined with the fresh attention he gives her creates a dynamic that is both safe and exciting. Emotional intimacy builds quickly because the walls of trust have already been established years ago. Another subtle danger is the what-if factor. Old friendships, especially with people who were once potential romantic interests, carry unresolved tension. Even if nothing happened in the past, the curiosity of what could have been lingers. Reconnecting can spark that dormant attraction, and because the connection looks harmless from the outside, no one suspects it as a threat. Friends are rarely questioned, making it the perfect cover for deeper interactions that slowly cross into infidelity. The truth is, old friendships don't raise alarms because they wear the mask of loyalty and history. Yet it's within that very comfort that boundaries slip, and the transition from emotional safety to emotional entanglement happens almost unnoticed. Place 5. The girls' night out. The girls' night out is often painted as a harmless ritual, a chance for women to relax, have fun, and escape from the stress of everyday responsibilities. On the surface, it looks like nothing more than drinks, dancing, and laughter with friends. But beneath that surface lies one of the most underestimated breeding grounds for infidelity, because it combines three powerful forces: freedom from accountability, the influence of peers, and the lowered inhibitions that come with alcohol. When these elements mix together, situations unfold that no one would have suspected beforehand. It begins with the mindset of escape. A woman steps out for the night not as a girlfriend or a wife, but as part of a group where individuality and freedom are encouraged. Surrounded by friends who validate her choices and hype up her appearance, she feels liberated in a way that daily life rarely allows. compliments from strangers at the bar, or the attention she gets on the dance floor feed into that heightened sense of confidence. What might have been brushed off during the day suddenly feels intoxicating in the charged atmosphere of nightlife. Peer influence plays a huge role here. Within the group, behavior that might normally be questioned becomes normalized. If her friends are flirting, entertaining advances, or encouraging her to just have fun, the pressure to join in builds subtly. No one wants to be the odd one out, and the idea of harmless fun can mask decisions that carry very real consequences. The shared secrecy of the group creates a sense of safety, as if what happens during the night is protected from judgment. Alcohol intensifies the risk further. Lowered inhibitions mean boundaries blur, decisions become impulsive, and actions are justified with the excuse of being in the moment. A lingering conversation with a stranger, accepting a drink, or stepping outside for air can escalate quickly under the influence. These are moments that, in a sober and controlled environment, would never happen, but during a night out, they feel almost natural. The danger of the girls' night out isn't that it starts with an intent to betray, but that it creates the perfect storm of circumstances where betrayal can unfold without warning. It looks like harmless fun to outsiders, but it provides an opportunity for temptation to disguise itself as freedom and spontaneity. Place 6. Hobby and interest groups. Hobby and interest groups are some of the most overlooked spaces where infidelity can quietly begin, because they are disguised as self-improvement, creativity, or community. Whether it's a book club, a dance class, a volunteer program, or even an online community centered around a shared passion, these spaces naturally foster connection. People gather here not only to pursue an activity but also to bond over something they mutually enjoy. And that shared interest becomes a powerful bridge for emotional intimacy. What looks like a simple gathering for personal growth often becomes a gateway to private connections that grow stronger with time. It starts with the sense of common ground. When two people share the same hobby, they automatically feel a sense of understanding that goes beyond surface-level attraction. A woman may feel like this person gets her because they both light up over the same subject, whether it's art, fitness, literature, or music. This bond feels deeper than everyday conversation, and it allows emotional closeness to develop quickly without raising suspicion. Unlike random social encounters, a hobby group provides a continuous reason to meet, making it easy to justify repeated interaction. The danger intensifies with consistency and routine. Weekly or bi-weekly meetings create familiarity, and the repetition of seeing the same person builds a rhythm of connection. Over time, small conversations before or after the activity shift into longer discussions, private jokes, or messages outside of the group. What starts as shared enthusiasm for the activity evolves into a personal relationship that exists beyond the original context. Because the connection is tied to something socially acceptable, it doesn't raise red flags to anyone around her. Another hidden risk is the emotional fulfillment these groups provide. If she feels unappreciated or unheard in her personal life, the validation she receives in a hobby group fills that gap. Someone who praises her talent, admires her dedication, or simply shares excitement for her progress can quickly become more emotionally significant than expected. The group setting masks the intimacy, making it look like collective support, when in reality a one-on-one bond is forming in the background. Hobby and interest groups are rarely seen as threatening because they appear wholesome and productive, yet it is within these environments that hidden connections thrive quietly, fueled by shared passion, emotional resonance, and the safety of social acceptance. Place 7. Travel and business trips. Travel and business trips are some of the most underestimated environments where infidelity begins, precisely because they provide the perfect blend of opportunity, distance, and anonymity. A woman stepping into a different city or country is no longer bound by her daily routine or watched by familiar eyes. She is surrounded by new people, new settings, and a sense of freedom that comes with being away from her usual responsibilities. What begins as a professional commitment or a simple getaway quietly transforms into fertile ground for temptation. And no one suspects it because it looks entirely justified on the surface. The psychological shift begins with the idea of escape. Being away from home, she feels a sense of detachment from her normal life. The hotel room, the airport lounge, the business dinner, all of these spaces create an atmosphere where accountability feels distant. What happens during the trip feels sealed off from the rest of her life, making risky choices easier to rationalize. This mental separation makes her more open to conversations or interactions she might otherwise avoid. Business trips carry their own unique dangers. Long hours of working closely with colleagues, late-night strategy sessions, and celebratory dinners build camaraderie that extends beyond the professional sphere. Alcohol is often part of the equation, lowering inhibitions and creating moments where boundaries blur. A casual drink at the hotel bar, a shared cab ride, or even sitting next to someone on a flight can become the spark for something more. These moments don't raise suspicion because they are framed as part of the job, yet they offer private opportunities for connection and intimacy. Leisure travel brings its own risks as well. The excitement of a new city, the anonymity of being a stranger, and the thrill of adventure combine to amplify emotions. Compliments from strangers feel bolder, interactions feel safer, and the mindset of "no one will know" becomes stronger. Travel environments encourage spontaneity, and spontaneity often becomes the excuse for decisions she would never consider in her everyday routine. The reason travel and business trips are so dangerous is that they combine distance, freedom, and opportunity under the mask of responsibility or relaxation. No one questions the legitimacy of a work trip or a vacation with friends, but within those trips lies the space for infidelity to take root unnoticed.